In the fall of 2010, I noticed some pretty consistent pain in my left foot as I would walk, and so I decided to go get an examination by a podiatrist. The diagnosis was a heel spur and also plantar fasciitis. Now, in case you haven't already figured this out, your feet are a very sensitive area of your body when it comes to pain, one of the most sensitive. In the United States especially, we have this problem with the overuse, I believe, of confining shoes when we don't really have to, and I think that does cause a lot of problems. May have contributed to this heel spur and the plantar fasciitis, but I'm going to discuss the surgery and how that worked out for me, and it turned out that it was well worth it, although I did have to suffer for a bit. The podiatrist first had me go to my regular doctor and fill out a report concerning possible risk factors. My regular doctor okayed the surgery, and then I set the surgery up with my podiatrist. Surgery day came, and I went in for the surgery at a local surgery center, and I was asleep for this surgery. I'm very glad, considering the pain that came later. I wake up, and I think this all took less than an hour or so, and the surgery is over, and I remember talking to the doctor and the nurses and saying, I'm not feeling any pain at all right now. And of course, I thought it was going to be easy and pain-free, and of course the surgical procedure was. Well, I was required to wear this special surgical shoe for a little bit, I think maybe for a week or so. There was an incision on the left side of my foot real close to my heel. I think it was about that, well, that's not, I think it was about that long. That's the way it looks. That looks about the right length with my fingers held apart. I don't think it's showing up in the right dimension on this screen. But it was stitched up, and I began to have post-surgical checkups. Took pain pills for a little while, but after about a week or so, one of the nurses told me it's probably time to stop, and so I did, because one thing I did not want was to become addicted to pain pills. But the incision site became infected. So the podiatrist prescribes an antibiotic, and I said, I do understand that I need to take this whole course in order to prevent problems with antibiotic resistance. He said, you're one of the few that do that. So there's two things I've mentioned that are extremely important. That is that pain pills are temporary, and you do need to come off of them after a surgery, and that whenever you take antibiotics, it's very important to take all of them, because people not doing that is the reason that antibiotic resistance is becoming such a problem. So anytime you have an antibiotic prescription, take the full course. Well, eventually I went back to a normal shoe. The stitches were taken out, and you know, from all appearances, things were getting back to normal, but the recovery was actually very slow. I experienced quite a bit of pain for a long time. And I'd say this went on for most of a year, but eventually I did recover completely. And I'm very glad that I did it. I wish that everything could be pain-free and that pain could just be completely eliminated, because I do not like suffering pain. However, sometimes if you want to fix a problem, you are going to have to go through some pain for a while. That's just reality. I mean, it's not realistic to think that all pain can be eliminated. During that year that I was recovering, I thought that maybe I had made a terrible mistake. I wondered if the pain was ever going to go away. But eventually it did. And you know what? I forgot which foot it was. I actually had to check just a little bit ago and see which one had the very slight scar that's very hard to see, actually, because I'd actually had thought it was my right foot. It was my left, because I just found that very slight scar just a few minutes ago. But now, after all this time, I don't feel any pain anymore. I'm completely normal. Now, what some people would have done would have simply said that they don't want that long recovery time and just refuse to do it and then just suffer from the problem for the rest of their life. That's what a lot of people do. I know this one person who fell off the tailgate of a pickup truck, I think, many years ago, and she was insured at the time, and she injured her leg, and she really needed to have it fixed, but she did not. She has chosen, apparently, to just hobble around for the rest of her life. Look, if you want a problem fixed, sometime you're going to have to go through the pain. I had to go through the pain with this, and I had to go through the carpal tunnel surgery. The surgery itself for the plantar fasciitis and heel spur was painless. There was an infection, but it was dealt with. I was on pain medication for a while, but I had the good sense to come off of it. And then, once the stitches were removed, then it was just a matter of time. That's really all it was after that. But the surgery was well worth it. I personally advise people to seriously consider the surgical option if they have an issue with a heel spur or with plantar fasciitis, because your problem is probably not going to go away otherwise. Surgeries, the purpose is to make the mechanical fixes to the problem so that the problem doesn't exist anymore. And I think that's what people forget. And I think that people are very impatient sometimes to not want to have to go through the pain and the suffering, but that's just part of it. I had pain after carpal tunnel surgery, and I had pain on this surgery after my left foot for quite a while. But the results were well worth it. As I just told you, I forgot which foot it was until just a few minutes ago when I looked and found that very slight scar. And actually, I'm surprised that you can't see it, because when that incision site got infected, it looked really bad. But of course, the antibiotics took care of that. So, do I recommend going through this procedure? Based on my experience, I certainly do. I wish I could tell you that it was pain-free. I wish I could tell you that I didn't have to suffer. But actually, I did have to suffer for quite a while. But the results were worth it because the problem went away. The problem was gone. And so that's my experience with surgery for heel spur and plantar fasciitis. And personally, I think the surgical option is a very good way to go.